Hello everyone and welcome to another Division 2 video. We continue with League and we actually go back to the first game from Division 1 between ColonelKoenig and Mimile. Now there's also another one, but I'm not 100% sure if someone has like, I don't know, marked that to be casted by them. So I'm not going to say what the result is. If not, because something maybe you see it on another channel, or maybe I'll do it myself if no one does it. But what I can tell you is that both of these players have played one tie so far, and that there have only been ties in Division 1. And of course, Division 1 is just one big group. So this really matters, and both of these players would have the chance with this and the second game now to actually get ahead there a little bit. So definitely curious to see what happens here. Now, one thing that I also want to note is that before we go to the decks, this is recorded after the patch. However, the game was played before the patch. So if you see some stats in the deck being a little bit different, that was not the case back when these players played. Okay, just want to be clear about that. Also, speaking of the patch, I didn't make a video to the patch notes because everyone else was a little bit faster. I tried to do one, it was too long, and then didn't have time to do it again. And then I just decided not to bother. But if you want, I can share some thoughts in some other videos in the future. Now, and what I'm going to do next though is I'm going to try to get some more playing every division videos done because I want to try out both of the new divisions, of course, and I also want to try out once again the new quote unquote new ninth cav because I think it could be quite a bit different. So we're going to treat this as playing another division and for the first time basically. But anyway, let's go to the decks now. Let's start off with Guards Armoured, a division that I personally think is really cool and can actually be quite strong, so I love to see it being played here. And yeah, I think it's a decent one for this map as well. So we have the Staghound, and then we have Sniper with the 2-inch carry, which I love to see because that means some 50mm mortar action. Then you get Recon Cromwells. You actually get 2 cards, but he only brings the 1. And then you have the Recon Steward, which is special because it gets the 50 cal on a Steward, and it still only costs 30 points, right? So yeah, it's just phenomenal. We get to see that in B phase. Then the infantry tab is very limited. We don't have all that much infantry here, and it actually gets expensive. He fills it up all the way. We have some field engineers in A phase, some rifles bit, and saw 2 cards of motorized rifles actually. So very A phase centric there. Both motorized rifles come in with the 50 cal half track, which is definitely nice to have. Then in B phase, we only have the assault engineer, so very odd choice. I'm a little bit surprised to see that, to be honest. I would feel like you want to have probably one motorized rifles card in B phase, but no, Koenig decided that this is the way to go. And the assault engineers truthfully can fight at range. I mean, they're for all intents and purposes a better motorized rifle when it comes to long range, but they also cost quite a bit more because they have the flamethrower. I know personally I don't like the unit too much. It is flexible, I give it that, but it's just not that great at either range or Cqc. And then in C-phase you have some more rifle Piats. Tank tab, very light, which is surprising. I would have expected him to bring at least some more Shermans in B phase. Like I feel like 5 Shermans in total is quite of a low number. But I guess he doesn't want more because there's the Wolverine in a DAT down, and we're going to get to that. There's tons of stewards to spam around. This can be very obnoxious, so that's definitely strong. I mean, yeah, no. I mean, they can be everywhere, and it gets super annoying. And he also gets leaded by them, so that's quite nice. And then we have some Fireflies in B phase and the Challenger in C phase, which makes sense, right? It's only marginally more expensive than a Sherman, but you get a lot more pen and range for it, so this is absolutely worth taking, especially if you play Maverick. Supporter very light with just some mix in A and B phase and some Cromwell 6s for 2k HE. A T-Tab, we have some 17 pounders, Achilles 6 pounders, and then we get the Wolverine, not at double vet, which is interesting. I would have expected Koenig to double vet it because it's something, I don't know, something that we would probably see commonly for Koenig, I think, double vet units like that. And then we have the 17 pounder in B phase with the ammo because it does not bring ammo in the support tab and you need ammo for your artillery. So this is how he gets it. So I don't know, Koenig likes to do to bring ammo with some odd units that you would not usually think of bringing with ammo. Personally, I would not do this because I feel like if you need the 17 pounder, it's quite expensive then. But I mean, once again, it seems to be working for Koenig, so that's that. AA tab, but 2 cards of both is pretty standard there. Artillery tab, we have some spotters for some cheap recon, which makes sense since snipers are a little bit more expensive with the 2-inch carry. Then artillery leader, Saxons in A phase, and then some long toms in B phase together with an off map, which is going to be super obnoxious on this map. And the air tab, quite nice with some Spitfires in A phase, as well as the rocket typhoons, and then in B phase we get some typhoons as fighter bombers as well. And on the other side, we do have 20th Panzer, an oldie but a goodie. So the recon tab has just some Aufklärer and Panzer III. This is pretty standard, although he does double wet it, which you don't always see. And then the infantry tab, we have some Stossgruppen, pretty classic. The Panzergrenadier DP, which is a fantastic unit. It's always hard to decide whether you want to bring it in A phase or C phase for Maverick, but it is great to have it. And then some Panzergrenadier with the Panzerfaust with the half track as well in A phase as well. B phase, some Sturmpanier and some more Panzergrenadiers with the half track, and then in C phase just some more regular Panzergrenadiers. So in total, actually more infantry than Koenig has. Both of these are, of course, tank divisions and not infantry divisions. Tank tab, we have some more Panzer IIIs and Panzer IV Gs in A phase, as well as the Beutescharns. I'm hoping we see that because, truthfully, except for the rocket typhoons, there's nothing in Koenig second can deal with this efficiently. Like the 17 pounder can technically pen it, but at range is most likely not going to do that. And then the T-34s as well as some Panzer IV leaders in B phase as well. The support tab is filled out. We have some flamethrowers, we have the IG-18, fantastic unit there. Then we have the Panzer IV F1 and the Panzer IIIN as well, which comes in B phase. Some machine guns, guerrilla ammo, pretty classic. Very, very powerful, of course. And this light armor might be needed because, although at the same time, it's kind of getting, it will kind of get countered, I feel like, by all the stewards that Koenig brings. Because, well, these can deal with those relatively efficiently. The problem with these tanks is, of course, that their armor is not that great and their accuracy of their AT shells is also not fantastic. The AT tab, some Panzer Shreks, we have the FK something. It's basically the SIS-3, which is really, really strong because it can also do indirect fire with radio for the German divisions. Then we have some Martyrs, which are, of course, going to be trading up a little bit better to Shermans than Panzer IVs, depending on the situation, of course. Them not having a turret is a significant disadvantage as well. Some Pak 40s in B phase. AA tab, quite nice with Flak 43s. They're going to do a very good job against the Allied Air Force there, of course, and then some 88s in B phase. And then in the artillery tab, we have some SK-18s in A phase, which is very interesting. Don't see this every day. Some Beobachter for some more recon and radio, and the Wurfrahmen then, but in B phase. That's an interesting choice. Wow, okay. Don't see that every day. And then the Wolframen in B phase, which is kind of, I guess, being a replacement for the missing off map here. Because it kind of can act similarly, you know. The other time do see the Geo, this is such a fantastic unit. It's cheap, you can spam it around, it can give you recon, it can bomb things. It's super obnoxious as well because then you have to invest into AA, and Koenig does not have cheap AA or cheap fighters, so this is a major issue. And Mimile also brings for the same purpose a Ju-87 because this one cannot get stopped by the 50 cals. Like Geo actually can. I Mimile has explained this to me in great detail, and he's right, we've seen this in a recent cast as well. So having some more cheap planes that can actually get through even through 50 cals and still force the buy of a fighter or AA that costs more is quite great to have. And then we have some Ju-87D5s here as well for some nice cluster work. Getting back to the map, we will, as always, look at the deployment, and I mean, right away, we can see that it is the classical rush for the center, it's not really center, a rush for the valley here. I mean, a very, very light deployment up north by both players. This is very typical, so it's not that you have to do this, but it's very common that you push for this area, like both players. Blue can decide not to do it and kind of go for this hill instead, but you still want to contest. You can certainly do that, and both players could also push in the town harder. Sometimes you actually see red pushing across here because it's can sometimes work because it's not expected, but the very common thing to do is really just to push over here and either push for the valley or the hill or both at the same time. So this is kind of the classic thing that we see here. So looking at the deployment specifically, yeah, look at that. Mimile is going for the open, but it's not contesting it super strongly. He is going very heavily for the hill. The thing is, if you have the hill and you still have this hill, you can kind of start pushing into the valley from there. But you can also still try to hold this if you have this hill. But losing all of this, like both of these things, is very, very devastating, of course. Koenig, on the other hand, actually does the same. Going strong for the hill, not super heavy for the valley, and then trying to put something on his hill up here as well. You have basically this triangle that is really fought hard over because it kind of determines how everything here works out in the end. And then Mimile pushes very, very lightly into here just to see if he maybe can grab a flag. And I mean, getting it into force itself is already very, very useful, so that makes sense. Koenig responds with a little bit more units there, and of course he has a little bit of an advantage there with his armor. His light armor, that's going to be very, very obnoxious for Mimile to deal with. And then at the very north in the town, we do see just some field engineers to hold everything, some rifle speed and a staghound for a little bit more aggression, but not super aggressive either. And on the other side, we do see a little bit more forces with some Panzer grenadiers and whatnot, and a Panzer III, so it looks like Mimile could potentially go for a push there if you notice that Koenig is weak there, but he's not super strong, so maybe he kind of. It's very easy to kind of misinterpret the situation and have different strength. Like misunderstand the strength of your opponent. Like you can easily guess that he's going to be weak if he's strong here, but just how weak? So if you do the same thing, I feel like maybe it's completely different for these Division 1 players because these are just so much better than the average players, of course. But for like a player like me, it's often hard to guess if the forces here are roughly equal to see if you actually have enough the upper hand up north. And also, of course, depends a lot on the types of units. Now, if Emil realizes that Koenig has invested a little bit more heavily into here, he will definitely come to the realization that Koenig has to be relatively weak up north, because I mean, this is nothing in terms of investment, really. The good thing is, if you go for the hill, you can kind of ignore the whole center push because you can deploy really heavily here. It's not helping you much if your opponent just goes for the hill instead and then for this one. So this is a mistake that I think a lot of players, myself included, do very, very often. But they like put everything here and then they try to go for the hill. But if your opponent just goes for the hill right away, he will win that, and then he can position himself up here and just get some nice positions that feel favorable for him to then start picking on the units in the valley, or the other way around, really. Like you can also do this on the red side here. This is just something to note. Now, in terms of speed, Koenig has a little bit of an advantage because he has the recon Cromwells. He has these in the jeeps, which are a bit faster, but it's not that much faster, really. Like Mimile has, of course, the horses. So in terms of overall speed, and the IG-18, by the way, is a really good opener here because it's fast, it has HE, it has heat shells if it needs to be. If you have like 2 or 3 IG-18s, can do a lot of work. And already we see the Geos, and the 50 cals might be able to stop them. So Mimile, if he wants to use the bombs, needs to do it soon. The question is it going to survive or is it going to die? That remains to be seen. And 50 cal can easily force it off. I'm not sure how easily it can kill them. It can definitely kill it. I've seen it. Oh, but we see the Spitfire. So yeah, there we go. It's already worked, right? Koenig has bought a 100 and what's that one? 120 actually. Plane for 25.2. Now there's also one up north here. So he's gonna get 2 kills. No, he does not. Was he afraid of some more AA? I don't know why he called it off. He could have definitely killed it. Did the Geo up here bomb anything? No, but it might have provided Mimile with the important information about what is here and what isn't, and that's all that counts. So down here, it looks like things were not going super well for Mimile. Koenig makes good use of his 2-inch carrier. Yeah, so this is the problem with the Panzer III versus Cromwell matchup. Panzer III can actually bounce on the Cromwell, which really, really sucks. Staghound's gonna pick up a Stostrup here. This Panzer here might be able to kill the stag hound. This one is already moving. Mimile has them on efficient. Mimile has many units on efficient shot. Now he has them on different levels, maybe. I don't know. No, it looks like it's the same. Personally, I don't really use efficient shot, but I probably should on AT guns. I think for newer players, it's not a good tool to have. If you know how to use it properly, it can be valuable, but you also miss out on a lot of opportunities, and sometimes if units die that could have at least tried to fight for themselves. So it's kind of a mixed bag, and you really have to know which value you want to use and when you want to use it for which units. So that's kind of how I see it. And that comes from someone who doesn't actually use them. But yeah, I mean, so the thing is, except for like the Starships, of course, are good, but otherwise, Mimile doesn't have much that is super good in the forest. The engineers can lose against those, but as soon as he's down to his Panzergrenz, the motorized rifles will just win, and the 2-inch carry will do a lot of work. So now we see flamethrowers being called in up here, which is an interesting choice, considering that flamethrowers are usually or very often used for the opener. But I think, yeah, they might be able to get in, and then they can easily bully these units there out of this forest, and then make it easier for Mimile to find a way to get back in there. Chio coming back in. Spitfire is also back though. If he picks up a kill on the field engineers, that's actually not worth losing this. But I mean, it's wow. Was it because it was still in the die for turn or something like that? Crazy. It was enough to pin the field engineers though, even though it missed. Spitfire turning around. I think Koenig might have microed it by how fast it's just turned. So Koenig up a little bit in tickets, but not all that much. Panzer III and Marder just pushing forward. It's not even a recon one. I mean, I still get recon by the Aufklär here, but still, that's a very ballsy maneuver. The other thing is, I don't know where he plans on going. This is risky, because you can bait. I mean, you could potentially drive up like a rifles Piat, and by the time these have aimed, like finished aiming, you could unload right in front of them and kill them with the Piat. That's a thing that you can do. Now, the range right now still doesn't work out perfectly for doing this, but it could potentially be done. Sherman here needs to be careful because of hill pressure. I'm not sure how like much of a factor it is up here, but he pushes while these are now turning for the Steward, so that's a nice little timing there. Kills the Marder, which is a smart thing to do because the Marder has less armor than the Panzer III. Sherman kills the second Marder, but Panzer III gets bailed out. That's really unfortunate. And now he could kill the 2-inch carry, which is really crucial here to help Koenig holding this hill. And I mean, Mimile is building up forces here. He's getting some good trades there with the Panzer III. I feel like, oh, but he goes down to the 6-pounder maybe? Yeah, I think I have to imagine. But still, one Sherman loss. It's still recoverable at this point. And yeah, I mean, you could bring like ammo right here. It would be pretty safe for Koenig to do so. The line of sight tool can be a little bit wonky at times, but I think this is actually correct. So as long as Mimile doesn't pressure Koenig too hard, might be able to pull that off. But he needs to buy a 17-pounder for him to be able to do that, so that might not be working out. Steward here in the annoying little position. Up close, you can definitely pen either of those units there. Up north, Mimile still slowly pushing, but his push is very, very slow. He has to be very careful, of course, with all his armor. Rifles Piat. Repositioning. Has Koenig noticed? Has Koenig spotted the Panzer III? No, it doesn't look like it. Maybe it's just out of range right now, but the motorized rifle could just hop into this building and then like hop over here, and there we go, they have line of sight and range for sure as well, so they could kill that. Looks like Mimile's flamethrower did get it, so that's a nice little push. He was pushed out of this position though. With the Panzer IV F1, there's nothing here that can deal with that, so you could just grab this flag for free basically. The this free is still alive, has still 5 HE rounds left, and pretty much provides its own radio. It is a best pioneer leader as well, actually, so radio is really just nothing to worry about here. This unit is so great. Like, against allied divisions, it's also quite powerful, because against Shermans, like, yeah, it's not the best tool against Shermans, because the pen at 1500 meter range is just a little bit higher than the armor of some of these Sherman's, right? This is one, like lots are actually 100 mil, so it's not that great, but it can pen reliably enough, I would say. And of course, as I said, having the radio on top of it with indirect fire is super strong. Looks like the Panzer III died as predicted, and the motorized rifles and all the armor also killed the Panzer Grenadier. So now it's just a Stoistrup holding this flag, but bringing it to a 1311. I mean, it's all about finding these flags for just long enough to bleed your opponent a little bit and then maybe find another flag. If it's not one that you can hold permanently, that's fine. We also see a flag 36 up north. So this is what you can do, right? So this is the problem if your opponent reacts to like these cheap planes with buying his own fighters. You can actually shut that down by just bringing your own AA, which you might have to do anyway, especially if you play against Koenig. You know that he will be spamming planes at some point. Not, I mean, we've seen his deck. It's not going to be that spammy probably, but he's going to bring them 100%. And with so buying AA will be necessary at some point anyway. And now if you can get value out of these again, that might actually be very, very good trade-off. The problem is that this flag 43 is in a bad position, so it cannot actually do much. Like what you have to remember, guys, is that if you're here, like yeah, so this is what you can see. Now if you're back here, you will actually see that plane as it comes from over there. So you have to make sure that your AA guns are not directly like the bottom of a hill. You want to be either a little bit further back or on top of a hill. And we also see an early Saxon in, which is quite fantastic. I mean, it's a 25 pounder, which is pretty decent, I would say, if it has a radio. If it doesn't have radio, it's like any of these smaller caliber guns that tends to be underperformed. The spread is too big, the damage is not big enough. But otherwise, it could do okay. Cheerio up north got forced off by the 50 cals. I'm not sure if he killed something or not. And definitely some units died here. There used to be ranged units here, and they are not here anymore. The question is, did they get killed by other units from Mimile, or did they get killed by the GO? Oh, look at that. We have reached C phase, and Mimile has decided, B phase, and Mimile has decided that it's now time to bring the Boyd de Schal, and it brings it here up north. And if you can position it like somewhere here, there's nothing that Koenig can do, as long as Mimile can ensure that it's not going to get side shot, right? Because Koenig could potentially build like a crossfire from like here and here, but if Mimile like positions it correctly, or also potentially secures this flank right here, then this is a pretty strong tool that can basically prevent Koenig from ever getting back into this area right here. And that's really powerful. But it's also a big investment, so you have to be careful with that. Koenig has re-grabbed this flag, but Mimile is holding the one right here in the center. We do have another FK2A8 doing its HE wonder, and the Panzer G up here in a nice little position where you can actually see here. This is such a nice position, I always forget that it exists, and then when I'm on the red side, I'm getting absolutely punished by it. You have to remember this spot right here. It is such a great position. It can be a major pain for a red side, actually. We do see the close range SKT. I don't know, it's something that we've seen a couple of times more recently, at least, and it seems to be very, very effective. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, the spread is going to be smaller, of course. You might actually be able to provide your own radio, which is not the case here. Could potentially be useful, but then, I mean, then you're really, really close range. But still, you have a smaller spread, which might be helpful. I don't know, Mimile, I see you sometimes in the comments, so if you're watching, can you let me know what the idea behind that is? Because I know that, I mean, there has to be like a good concept behind doing this. I would really be curious to know what the reason is. Is it really just smaller spread, or is there anything else that I'm missing? I mean, it has AT shells, but AP shells, but not going to use it as AT, especially since before the patch, at least it did not used to have 10 and damage, so you actually would need 2 to kill, and I don't know what the accuracy is, but it's probably not that good. Yeah, 35%, there we go. So it doesn't even one shot. You need 2 hits, which is unlikely to happen to begin with. 14-10 now as Mimile once again grabs his flag here with a Sturm Pioneer. It's going to be problematic. And it's easily going to be it's easily going to be able to force off the field engineer. So by the way, for the assault engineer, this is like the kind of terrain you want to be fighting in, right? Because like you have the Piat, if anything gets too close. If something gets within 100-meter range, you get the flamethrower, and for the range, you do have the Bren and the Lienfield. Just not great for range. That's kind of the concept here. But the shell needs to be careful. The Piat will not be able to, or should struggle. Now it's 150 versus the 200 armor of the Boy the Shine, but he can still get side shots. I think he can probably overpen as well. I'm not 100% sure, so the Boy the Shine here is a little bit risky. But I mean, the other thing is, do you wanna, like, if you have limited infantry, is it worth risking them over this? Not so sure. Geo once more. I don't think it's gonna get in, honestly. Do not think so. Oh, Panzer 4G versus the Firefly. I was gonna say at this range it's not necessarily a good range for the Firefly because it's more expensive and the Panzer 4G can just easily pen it still. Bombing. Wow, bombs get in and off and kill the, or damage the motorized rifles right there. There's still a lot of armor here though. Both are starting pushing forward relentlessly. Now even Achilles coming in. I mean, up close, it can definitely pen the Boydashan. The Typhoon's also coming in. Boydashan is on the retreat. And the Typhoon lost line of sight just in time. Koenig immediately calling it off so that it's back sooner and he can go for another run as soon as possible. I'm not so sure if it's just lost line of sight in general or if... No, the smoke didn't help actually. It's too far back. Motorized rifles just pushing forward. Unloading up close. Might be able to get a side shot here. Did it just miss? No, it did not. Gets a driver knockdown, but it doesn't do enough damage to kill. That's the problem. But it was damage, right? No. What? Okay, interesting. Oh, SK18 doing some counter battery. The problem is against the Saxon, I'm not so sure how much it helps. At this range, you might actually be able to kill it. Koenig hasn't moved it yet. I mean, yeah, it's getting some close hits. It's not. Nah, if these are the same spread, not so sure. Okay, still a decent spread. Is there radio for it? No. Not yet, but Koenig is about to drive into radio range, which might actually be... Yep, now it's within radio range, so if Mimile adjusts to the new position, which requires his Saxon to shoot first, I might actually be able to pick up a kill there. Flamethrower here against Sherman, that's of course not the way. So both players not fighting super heavily over the town, but both players decide that it's still something worth fighting over. So both are still focusing mainly on the south, but neither of those players wants to give up the north completely, which makes sense. It's a very reasonable call. Now, I'm a little bit surprised about Koenig not focusing more on the north. Now, I know that there's more flags to grab in general right here. Yes, sometimes you can go back here or even into these positions as well on either side, but the truth is that if you can completely like break one side, this one is the one where it's, I would say, very often can get a little bit more, but it's not necessarily always the case. It's really very situational. But I feel like Koenig would have more of an advantage in the town, so I'm surprised that he doesn't actually go for it and take advantage of this. Now, the problem is, of course, that he has more infantry suppression, he has the Piats, right? This is why I say he has an advantage. In terms of the actual armored unit, this is not so much true. Because Mimile has, of course, Panzer IIIs and the T-34s, which are very, very efficient in towns as well. So he has to be very, very careful with his Shermans there. But those you can kind of counter a little bit once again with the Cromwells then. But we've seen at least one of them, maybe even two, so he might be low on those now. But we do see an off-map. So Koenig is actually planning on grabbing the town now, which I think is a very good call. He's having a rough time in the open here now that the Boydashan is here. He will generally struggle to get a good opening there. So it makes a lot of sense for him to now dive a little bit more into the niche that he has, which is that he has some good town fight units in general. And the off-map, of course. Spitfire was called in but forced off. We have a lot of AA now, so Mimile has invested into the AA and he's still looking stronger on the ground in my opinion, and it's a lot of not so cheap units, so I think things are generally looking good for me. I feel like Koenig has gotten some bad crates, even though right at the start it looked not so well for Mimile, but he recovered very, very quickly. And I think part of that has also to do with the GOs, which have done a lot, like they've forced some bad buys for Koenig, and they have also still done some damage. And of course, one thing that we also cannot neglect is the fact that Koenig has just bought another off map. So Koenig is here with 2 off maps now. So that might also have a role or a factor to play in the fact that Koenig's front line so far not looking super strong. The problem, the problem with this is if you invest too much into these kind of units, then your line starts to crumble. At the same time, though, these are super strong on this map specifically. So Koenig, if he can get a good use out of it, he might even very well make up for this. Joe's just doing that thing, but I mean, look at this position from Mimile. He has tons of infantry, he has to avoid the Shchedrin here, he has a recon, some AT weapons still, AA coverage as well, so he's covering this off very, very nicely. And he might, yeah, I think he can definitely start contesting this flag right now. Now we have a long Tom going after the Boy the Shchedrin, so Mimile needs to move that. Let's see if he's noticed. It doesn't look like it so far. The Saxon did go down, didn't it? Did he get killed by these units? Is this right here the Saxon? It is not. Have I made a mistake? Is it still alive? Is this a Saxon? Oh, it's the steward. Oh no, it's right here. There we go. There it is. So it's still alive, actually. That would have been very, very devastating. Off-map did go down, by the way, and Koenig is now about to push. Assault engineers should easily win at this range, and then with the help of some staghounds and the rifles, the motorized rifles with their PIA, the half tracks should not be an issue. This should not be an issue. Second wave, oh, but it's really bad. There's basically nothing here, so it's going to go completely out in the empty space. I mean, there's one flag 43, but he doesn't need to pin that really for him to be able to push. He could actually finish it off with his units as well. Artillery leader for Koenig, so this is something that I see Koenig doing sometimes. He likes to use the artillery leader for his artillery, actually, if he doesn't need it for the infantry. I don't see a lot of players doing it, but it really makes your artillery significantly better. Like it is worth using, in my opinion. The question is always, do you have the points for that, right? Is it actually worth in that situation? Right now, I would argue that it's probably not. But of course, also because the long Tom is getting pinned by the 2 SK-18s, it's definitely not what he wants right now. Second off map goes down, but there's nothing here yet except for the flag 43, which is running now. Black Carap though, so Koenig, or Mimile still on the 1311, but Koenig now coming in with 2 Typhoons. So it looks like he's spotted the T-34. Yeah, he's spotted us out here and the Universal Carrier. And I don't know what this is going after. Same target as well. It's actually lucky that they didn't hit the flag 43, but they probably wouldn't have killed it anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But more armor is already coming, so while is so yeah, I don't know, probably not worth it. I guess I mean he can use them anyway, right? He's not going to get through down south, so if you have them, might as well use them. That's kind of how I see it. Then we have another off map here. Looks like Mimile has lost quite some units here, so definitely not good for him. Koenig needs, yeah, so Koenig needs the infantry to be able to push back in, but now we are in C phase. Still 1311 for Mimile, so I mean it's a mirror income, right? So in these mirror incomes, like yeah, if you have a single tick, that's all you need. Unless there is a major skill difference or a bad division matchup, they're probably not going to get the 15-9 all that much. So yeah, as I said, single tick is all you need. More is great to have, but definitely not need. So you still want to push for it, but you don't want to over push for it. And it's going to be hard to do anyway. Pack 40 now in. Try to cover this off. Looks like, oh no, the T-34 is still alive. It's pushing up north. But it has to be very careful because in the town, this is very hot territory with all the rifles Pied around and the assault engineers. This is very dangerous, but Koenig might actually get this flag very realistically. But he has now lost the one down south as Mimile decides that it was finally time to push forward. I mean, he has so many units here with the half-tracks, tanks, and infantry units. And it's not actually that much from Koenig that's stopping him there, right? The 17 pounder moving into position. can't do much against the Beute Stalin though, and it probably just get wasted one way or another. Like, if the Geo flies like that way, Mimile of course doesn't know he's there yet, but if he knows, he can also just like fly this way with the Geo, and then he can kind of get around the Bofors. I feel, maybe it's still within range if it flies that way. Maybe, just barely. What's the SK-18 going after? It's now going after the off-map, so Mimile has spotted the off-map and he wants this dead. Koenig has not noticed and is not moving. Once again, we can't check, right, and so annoying. But I think it only has 2 call-ins anyway. Might be wrong though. Sorry, I had to suppress a yawn. It's always, I mean, if you have to, unless it's the weekend, of course, I have to do them in the evening, so sometimes a little bit tired after work. SK-18 now going after the Saxon, but the Saxon is already moved. It looks damaged though. Oh yeah, it is. I mean, Mimile has been going for this for quite a while. Wow, and now actually 59 as Mimile regrabs this flag with the Panzer in there. Some Panzer as well, but they get spotted out by the rifle spear and killed. So Koenig not in a very good spot. I mean, the off-map tiers can definitely help him, but he has the infantry to follow up, right? So this is another flag that he can grab, and it's a good use of the off-map in that spot and situation right now. And now he needs to think of other flags, and I think he's to. It's ballsy, but maybe once he gets that one, he could actually go across here and push into these flags. The problem is it's going to take time, and he doesn't want to spend a lot of time going, like, finding new places to push. Right, he wants to go for flags that he can get pretty much directly. So the best bet right now is, of course, these 2 flags right here in the town. But long term, he probably wants to get back on this hill and then, like, I don't know, find a way to to pressure this area. Or just push across directly, because I mean this hill is just off limits for now. He might be able to grab it eventually, or maybe he'll just pushing forward for this, like, now very aggressive. But I mean, yeah, Koenig has not much here, and Mimile has realized that and is now just pushing. SK-18s are actually going after the 17 pounder. 17 pounder is also under fire by the Panzer, which is really bad. You don't want to lose a 17 pounder that way. Now you have Schönpaniers and Panzergrenz right up here in a very aggressive position. Now he also knows where the long tom is, so not looking good for Koenig right now. And if you look at the field as well, like there is not that much red, and there's a decent amount of blue here. And I mean, yeah, Koenig has some planes, and up north they can do a lot of damage, but down south just the skies are pretty much locked down. There's a flag 43 here, there's a flag 43 here, there's an 88 there. This one might actually take damage as the off-map goes down. Ooh, shells sounding close to the Saxon, so Saxon might actually go down. And is this? No, I can't see where it's going. If we'll not deliberately moving it over there. Doesn't look like it, so it's just, oh, now he's spotted the rifle speed, now he's turning. Might get forced off by the Bofors now. Bofors is in an awkward spot where it didn't start shooting in time, but it might now. Still aiming. Does it have field pressure? And can AA pieces have field pressure as well? Maybe, I don't know. But now it's firing. Yeah, it's gonna stop that in time. As long as Shchedrin is just chilling here, the rifle speed, of course, cannot do much. Oh, the SCKF set goes down to probably the Steward here, I have to imagine. Off-map will push this down a little bit, but unless Koenig can get some surrender, this is a very short lift thing. Oh, looks like the Saxon goes down. Yeah, Koenig should have moved that a little bit more. Up north, his pushes are going not too bad. There's no tanks for Mimile now. But it's also not that many armor for Koenig. But if Koenig is a little bit careful, he can make sure that he can use the 50 cals and like even the regular machine guns from the Steward to his advantage. And then even with his Ren infantry, he might be able to push forward. And if he actually gets within 100-meter range, he has once again the upper hand against these Panzer, so that's something to keep in mind. And some more assault engineers, these can definitely be very useful up there now. But not looking very good. Typhoon being called in to suppress the Panzergren. Yeah, this is never a good sign if you have to call in AT planes to do some suppression for soft targets. It's better than, you know, not using it and whatever you want to have pinned not being pinned. But it's generally not a good sign if you have to use it for that specifically. Solar engineers and rifle speed failed to push further forward, so Mimile's units can recover from the suppression, and yeah, can exert pressure on this flag once again. Panzer F4, F1 in here. Problem is it can't do much because as soon as it's gonna get like in here, the rifle speed and the assault engineers will be able to kill that off with the Piat. Long Tom still alive, going for some counter battery, might actually kill a SK-18. Long Toms are really, really deadly. Oh, there we go. Wow. Delivered right on the point. There we go. One SK-18 dead, one's alive. But I mean, they've done a ton of work so far, so it's definitely not like even just killing one has not made up for everything that these have done for Mimile. Koenig needs both of them dead, and then he can actually start doing a lot of work with his long-term uncontested. Because I feel like that's still not happening. So maybe Mimile's not actually gonna start putting this on counter battery. By the way, did I mean? No, Boy the Shaolin is just pushing forward. I was about to ask if it died. This is dangerous now because the 17 pounder might be able to pick up a side shot here. The question is really, does Mimile realize it, or does it get stuck on another unit? Because if it doesn't, yeah, it gets stuck on a Panzer IV. Now the Boy the Shaolin can actually reposition, and the 17 pounder reveal itself and gets absolutely shred. So that might have been the one chance for Koenig to take out this Boy the Stalin. Would it have changed a lot? I don't think so. I mean, at this point, Koenig is in such a rough spot. Like, his line is about to collapse. Like, yeah, he's stabilized this situation, but that's not the only problem here. That's also not the biggest issue here, right? Up north, though, he has regrabbed this flag. Now, there's a Panzer III N in here, and a Wolverine now, but none of these units here have AT capabilities. Oh, there's actually one coming with it. Oh wow, the Panzer III N gets the kill on the Wolverine. First shot too. It must have been damaged then. Because one shot, wow. 20% accuracy by the way. Just want to point that out. Because the thing, like if this were dead and the Wolverine's alive, especially with the 50 cal, the Wolverine could absolutely dominate here together with this Steward right here, and then the town would probably be Koenig's. Let's see if the Steward can, yeah, there we go, you can kill the Panzer III N. I'm not rooting for any one of these, but if someone is like down in everything, I'm of course rooting for that player because you know if they can somehow turn it around, we actually get a fantastic game. But I don't really think this is going to happen here because I mean if you look, yeah, Koenig has been outrated so heavily. Like there's so few units of him left. I don't think, as much as I hope for it, I don't think we're going to see him turning this around completely now. I mean, he's grabbed this flag again. He's grabbed this one by extension, but the problem is Mimile can just shift this up here and be done with it. And like probably even it being here will probably prevent the grab of that flag. So still 59. Koenig has 2 minutes left to stabilize, and then he would need to turn it around. He would have 20 minutes for that, but of course, if you look at the map with how far down in trades he is, it's just not very realistic. Poiter Stalin now just pushing really aggressively into places he has no business being, usually. Oh, Rifle Spear get a kill there. Probably just gonna get killed off by everything that's here right now. Strumpy here, try to push, got stopped. Panzer here, helping Strumpy out there. Pack 40, doing some... Oh, and a Guerrilla. I thought it was the pack, but yeah, that makes... I saw the explosion, I was like, yeah, that can't be the pack. Guerrilla has finally arrived. The first time that we actually see the Guerrilla, so that's surprising. But then again, Koenig of course has used a lot of armor, which we can expect from Guards Armoured, so it kind of makes sense. Oh, neither of these two Typhoons gets in. Yeah, I mean, we have two Flak 43s and an 88. That's really rough to push in there. And one of them actually goes down, or was that the Spitfire? No, it was one of the Typhoons, and Koenig surrenders, which is totally understandable, seeing how things went. The trades weren't actually that bad. I'm surprised. I guess, I mean, Koenig had an Air Force. that was decently sized. And they still, like, both got some very, very good kills. I guess it's really just, yeah, how it ended up being towards like Ona's second half of the game, maybe even just the last third where things really went downhill in terms of trades. Definitely feeling like Mimile had the upper hand for quite a while, but I mean, Koenig made up a little bit for it in the town towards the second half of the game. So for something to keep in mind. And I mean, he killed some of these shows. Now, these are of course not super expensive, but that kind of adds up. And Koenig still had bought like these planes um, that added some value that Mimile didn't kill, of course. So we try rifles. I mean, yeah, proved to be effective in the town. Shermans are Shermans, doing Shermans things. And then yeah, we see a lot of Piat kills here, which is what you would expect in especially in town fights, but also in like these yellow forest areas. The Steward actually, wow, killing a Panzer T-34. I don't know if that was a side shot or what that was, but damn, great work there. And other than that, nothing special there. And on the other side, you have the IG-18 that started a lot of work. The Marder that are doing decently well. Panzer and Panzer are really fantastic. Although I'm surprised to see the Killer 6 pound. It must have been low already. The Sherman, oh, that was probably the one that pushed forward aggressively and then got the crew or the bailout, sorry, on the Sherman. And that's pretty nasty. And yeah, look at that. This is free doing more 80 than 80 actually. Some more. Yeah, this thing's just so fantastic. Look at it go. Panzer free as well to avoid the shot. Oh wow, this thing absolutely cleaned house. An Achilles, some Shermans, lots of infantry. I mean, this is just an absolute beast. I mean, Emil used it very, very aggressively. A very like I don't know. It was very ballsy the way he used it. I personally would have been afraid of doing that, but it paid off. I mean, look look at the work that it did. Wow. Not a T-34 that did a lot of work. I mean, yeah, the problem is this thing against the Cromwell is an absolute terrible matchup for the Cromwells. Same for the Steward. Against the Sherman, it's better for the Allied unit, but um, Cromwells are not really what you want to bring up against T-34 because they'll struggle penning and the T-34 will not struggle penning the Cromwell at all. And yeah, that was pretty much it. So, interesting game. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching and have a great day. See you next time.